You think of it as well, don't lie now. Talk to Me is the kind of horror film that I love and wish they made more of. It's a drama first and a horror second. Its number one priority is story and character, making them compelling so the horror stuff actually has a bit of bite to it. When we're getting introduced to the characters at the beginning, their relationships and their banter and chemistry is so fun and believable, and also quite well acted by the cast. It just sells you on these as people instead of movie characters. So when the horror stuff starts happening to them, you actually care about them, especially since the horror stuff has personal ties and connections to the characters. So the scares and the horror elements are actually relevant to everything that's happening. None of the scary stuff and none of the horror elements are wasted or just chucked in there as just empty bits of horrorness. This ain't one of those trashy horror films that relies on jump scares and jolts every 5 seconds. This is an actual story with actual characters that has a horror coat of paint to it. And again, I wish they made more horror films like this. If horror films were like this for the most part, I wouldn't dislike the genre as much, or at least the films within the genre as much. And the whole hand thing that they're holding and summoning the spirits with is actually quite well utilised a few times, especially one scene about half an hour, 35 minutes in. And if you see the film, you know exactly the scene I'm talking about, where it goes a bit awry with a certain character, and it gets quite shocking and quite brutal, and I was just like I genuinely was quite shocked when what happened in that scene. Funnily enough, the scariest scene in this film is actually a montage quite early on with all the teenager characters using the hand and like having goals at it, and they're all just like getting high on the rush of it. Because if this hand was real and people this age were participating in it, they would absolutely go down like that, with all the gatherings and them taking turns filming them on their phones, posting the Snapchat stories. It would become quite the drug. It would become quite the addiction. And I'm not sure if this film was designed with the intention of it being some kind of allegory for drug use and drug addiction, but I can see it because the main character especially gets kind of attached to the phenomenal, incredible feeling that the hand gives them. So in short, don't give in to peer pressure and don't do drugs. Wait a minute, is this a film with messages in it where the characters don't have to actually say it in the dialogue and they can actually have the audience piece it together themselves? I didn't think they could do that anymore. Talk to Me is one of the best horror films that's come out in quite a while. I'm actually struggling to think of the last horror film that came out that I actually liked. Cool thing is, the film was directed by a couple of YouTubers, which is awesome. The fact that YouTubers directed a horror film and it actually has decent production value to it. It doesn't look like some cheap ass piece of crap student film, and it was actually a really good horror film, one of the best horror films in recent months or maybe the last year or so. Not a bad accomplishment. Stuckman's got a lot to live up to.